So as you can see, the S has evolved in a major way for 2024. Now featuring our steel trellis frame with a new Z-Force 14.4 Plus power pack and a new Z-Force 75-7 motor. There's quite a few new things that have changed on this bike, and it represents an absolutely amazing value in the S line of motorcycles from our company. Let's go ahead and dive into the specs. The new power pack, as we mentioned, is a Z-Force 14.4 Plus. So that houses 14.4 kilowatt hours of capacity. Now we're running that power through a 600 amp high efficiency controller that also allows us to have regenerative deceleration as well as another level of regenerative braking. Feeding through that controller to our new Z-Force 75-7 motor, we're putting down a total of 97 foot-pounds of torque and 60 horsepower. So the bike is quick, but noticeably a bit less power than what we see out of our Z-Force 75-10 applications in the rest of the S line. So while this bike features a bit less power than what the rest of the S line has with our Z-Force 75-10 motor, through ride modes and programming, custom ride modes with the Zero Motorcycles Next Gen app, you're going to be able to dial in that power, making the bike really approachable for both new riders and experienced riders alike. So you understand the capacity, you understand the amount of power putting down, but what does that mean in real world use for you in range? We're talking about around 150 to 155 miles city use. That's really your around town, stop and go, and of course is going to be measured using a good amount of regen for your deceleration and braking. For many of you, you're going to commute a bit on the highway, so when you factor in highway commuting along with the city stop and go to get to the highway and back off it to your place of work, we're looking at around 100 miles range per charge. Of course, that leads us to charging. How long is it going to take you to charge this thing? Well, it's got an onboard 3 kilowatt charger. So when you're using level 2 charging, either at home or out in public, you're looking at roughly 4 hours in order to get to 95%. Of course, anytime you want to charge to the full 100%, you can factor in about an additional 30 minutes because, of course, with the last 5% of capacity, there's going to be more cell balancing going on within the power pack itself, and that takes a little bit of extra time. Now, if 154 miles in city and around 100 miles on the highway and city combined is not enough for you, you do have a host of Cypher upgrades available with this vehicle so that it can grow with you over time. So while we start out with 14.4 kilowatt hours of capacity, you do have the ability to upgrade the capacity of this S model by using either the Cypher upgrade system through the Zero Motorcycles Next Gen app or through a dealership directly. You in fact have 2 upgrades available for the capacity on this machine. You can simply purchase an additional 10% battery capacity, giving you up to 15.6 kilowatt hours of total capacity. But then you also have the option to purchase our extended range charging feature, which will allow you to charge to an indicated 110% SOC on the dash, meaning you will have 17.3 kilowatt hours of total capacity, which will also provide a significant increase in range. With both the 10% added battery capacity and extended range charging upgrades on the bike, you've now got 20% more overall usable capacity, and that'll of course relate to the range that you get on the vehicle as well. So we understand the capacity potential of the power pack system on this bike and how long it's going to take to charge. But what about the rest of the machine? Well, suspension wise, everything's handled by Showa. We've got 43 millimeter big piston forks up front that are fully adjustable for preload, rebound, and compression damping, as well as in the rear with a 40 millimeter piston piggyback shock from Showa as well that is also fully adjustable. On the stopping side of things, we're featuring dual 4-piston J1 radial mount calipers up front that are mated to a radial mount master cylinder. In the rear, we have a single piston J1 floating caliper with a 240 millimeter rotor. Combine that suspension and brake combo with our proprietary steel trellis frame, and you're talking about one amazing handling bike. So with this all new 2024 S, we were able to save some significant weight with the new Z-Force 75-7 motor. In fact, we're looking at around 15 pounds lower weight than the SR or SRF, now coming in at 492 pounds for this S. The important thing with all of our motorcycles to remember is that the weight is very central and low in the chassis. So most owners are going to talk about a feeling of around 75 to 100 pounds lighter than the actual curb weight when they swing a leg over and pull the bike off of the side stand. Now, chassis position on the S is going to be extremely similar and in line with the SR and the SRF, in that it's a very traditional sporty standard or street fighter type of stance. The bars are a little forward and the foot peg is up with a pretty dramatic bend in the hip and the knee. So we talked a bit about some of the Cypher upgrades that are available in order to extend the range of this vehicle. But there are a few more available as well, including the fact that you can actually add 10% charging capacity to go from 3 kilowatts to 3.3 kilowatts, again, by upgrading through the Zero Motorcycles Next Gen app or through purchasing with your local dealership. We also, of course, can upgrade the vehicle via the same Cypher upgrade system with park mode, which is going to give you a slow speed reverse and forward drive for getting in and out of really tight parking spaces or navigating hills at slow speed. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the controls as well as the dash on the vehicle to understand the rest of the features available. With the key on, we get our run light in the upper left-hand corner, and of course, our ride mode is displayed right above the speedometer in the center of the screen. To change ride modes, you select the ride mode button on the left-hand switch, push in and hold until the ride mode flashes, and then you can cycle to the left or the right until you reach the mode that you want to select. Simply push the mode button in again to select the new mode. You'll also notice that the traction control and ABS settings change as matched with the ride mode selected. You also have your battery temp, motor temp, range, and state of charge displayed on the dash as well. Your headlight switch, turn to signal switch, and horn button are all located on the left-hand switch cube. Your run stop switch and the cruise control button are located on the right. With the run stop switch in the off position, as indicated in the center of the dash, you can also select the mode button by pressing in to access the bike's main menu. On this particular model, both parking mode and extended range charging have been activated via the Cypher upgrade system. But you can also access your preferences, battery information, performance information, and data. To cycle out of this menu, simply either key cycle the ignition or put the run stop switch back into the run position. So just a minor few other things on the bike. The charge port for charging the machine is located just in front of the rider's seat, along with the rest of the S line, and simply opens to allow access for charging. And of course, we do have a locking tank storage compartment here, which is accessed via the ignition key using a lock cylinder on the left side of the chassis. Opening that up gives you a pretty nice storage, as well as 2 USB charge ports to be able to charge your phone, plug in a GPS, etc. So obviously the 2024 S is an exciting vehicle, and it represents an exceptional value in the Zero Motorcycles lineup. So as always, take a test ride at a local dealership or find out more at zeromotorcycles.com.